let you do the intros and we'll get started.
Jump right in. I'm Kirsty Becerra-Nicol and absolutely thrilled to introduce René Lacerte, the CEO and founder of Bill.com. René, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
I'm excited to be here. It's always great to get a chance to do some Q&A and actually talk about what's on people's minds. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, we've had tons of great questions come in across the Bill.com social channels, and I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'll jump right in with the first question, which is how you came up with the idea of Bill.com, and tell us about those early days, what the experience was like.
You know, it's interesting. When I get asked a story, I always go back to kind of the roots of what it was for me growing up as a kid. So to do that, I go back to the night I was born. So my parents and grandparents had multiple businesses. The night that I was born, my mom was actually working on a job for a payroll job for the largest defense contractor in DC. So data processing business, 1967. Punch cards is the way that data got input into the machines, right? So think about these punch cards with little holes for the light to come through. And the trays were, 50-pound trays, and she would have to carry them around. And she wasn't feeling well, and she and my dad talked, and he asked if it was the baby. I was kid number 2, and she's like, no, it's not the baby. I just don't feel good. And he said, well, let's finish this job, and then you take off for the weekend. It was a Wednesday night, so she'd get to take off Thursday and Friday, and that sounded good. And so they finished the job at, somewhere around 12:30, and I was born at 3:30.
Wow.
And so the reason I bring up the story is because everything that I learned as a kid, a lot of stuff I learned as a kid, I should say, really was around business. Because my parents they had 5 businesses in their life. My grandparents had 7 businesses. And so a lot of the stuff that I heard in the dinner table conversation, I often refer to as the dinner table MBA, was just a great experience of just learning about people, about product, and about managing cash flow. And so for me, I learned about cash flow from my parents and grandparents where, the phrase was cash is king, which everybody says, stretch out the payables and pull in the receivables. And if the cash that you have is the only cash you have to grow your business, you get very good at that. Like you're very thoughtful about which vendors you're going to pay and when you're going to pay them and which customers you're going to collect from. And so I would go in on the weekends sometimes and help Dad stuff dunning letters. I would help him find documents, supporting documents to figure out which bills he wanted to pay. And so that stayed with me until, when I started my first company in '99, PayCycle, and I was running the day-to-day of that. I was like, this just doesn't seem any different than what my parents were doing or my grandparents were doing.
It hadn't changed.
Hadn't changed at all. And yet I had been at Intuit where I actually helped, kind of invent the whole bill payment platform that Intuit was on. And so, we put 500,000 customers on that platform before we sold it. So I knew there were technologies that would enable electronic payment and that would enable a process for people to kind of be able to do this from anywhere. And yet when I looked out at the competitive landscape, there was nothing that helped the business, because for businesses, it's always about understanding the content of the information. It's more complex than what consumers have. Consumers have the standard bills that you pay every month. But businesses, they have 20 or 30 bills, and there's just a lot of difference between that. So for me, it was thinking about that, realizing that the internet was actually much more than the internet. It was, the cloud, which is what we now call it. But just having that ability to have one database that allowed for multiple different access points for multiple types of customers and users, right? And so you think about our application, we have approvers, we have clerks, we have admins, we have payers, we have customers, we have vendors, all those entities, and then the accounting software, if you want to include them as an entity, all have access to the data to be able to help you manage your business. That's not the way people thought about the internet when it first came out. And it's not what was possible prior to the internet. It would have been way too hard to make all those connections for folks. So that was the genesis, was me just trying to do what Dad and Granddad taught me: stretch out the payables, pull in the receivables.
In a nutshell. That brings us nicely into our next question, which is whether software like Bill.com would be good for small businesses or it's more for sort of large volume enterprises.
Our experience with our customer base today is that it's good for everybody, right? So our target, we target customers with both, marketing, product, software, as well as, sales solutions. Customers probably up to 50 million is kind of where we think about. But when you think about that, there's only 42,000 businesses in the country out of 6 million that have more than 50 million in revenue. So I think we really do target everybody. If we look at our demographics, 20% of our customers have less than $100,000 in revenue. So those are very small businesses, right? They're independent, so companies that are just needing some help so they can manage their back office. And so we look at it as it's really folks that want to kind of get in front and be more thoughtful about their business. It doesn't matter whether you have 5 bills or 5,000 bills, it works for you. Even
in those early days, which brings us into our next question, which was one of my favorites. It was, hi René, inspired by you, I launched a SaaS app. It's called Client Hub app, and it addresses the challenges faced by accountants. What is the one piece of advice you would give me to help increase adoption to grow my business?
That question's hard because I didn't have one piece of advice. There was lots of advice that came out when I read the question and thought about it. So, but at the high level, something I learned from my parents and grandparents is persistence. You just got to be dedicated to the mission that you're on, that you believe in. As part of that, you got to actually take the good and the bad. You got to interact and engage with your customers. The more you can engage with customers and prospects, the better you can understand the pain that they have. That said, right, there's the quote from Henry Ford that if you'd asked customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. They wouldn't have said, a car. And so I think the challenge that sometimes, that's why I say persistence matters. If you have a vision and you have passion around something, it's your job to figure out how that plays into the market and how customers may or may not react to it in the beginning when you're interested in getting started and something like that.
Mm-hmm. So, good words.
Getting ready to sneeze, but it went away, so I had to finish this.
Well saved. So we also want to know sort of the man behind Bill.com. So one of the questions that came in was, what is one of your favorite vacation spots?
So I'm married to Joyce, and she grew up in Hawaii, and so it's turned out that we spend a lot of summers in Hawaii, not the whole summer, but a week, every summer. And her brothers come back to Hawaii, so Maui and the Kaanapali Coast, I would say, is my favorite vacation spot. It's just someplace I relax, someplace I like to go for a run in the morning. I run every day, and so the nice thing about Hawaii is after my run, I can just jump in the ocean with a pair of goggles, and I can see turtles and eels and fish and coral, and it's just a beautiful way to start the day. So
yeah, I can't imagine a better way to start the day, personally.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So that would be the spot.
Moving back to Bill.com, what are your thoughts on Bill.com's position in the market for digital business payments?
It's amazing because when I started at Intuit, the first project I had was payroll, and I started learning about ACH and the ability to move money electronically, and then I moved on to the bill payment project. And so if you looked at the data back then, was somewhere around 75. I don't know why Siri thought that was interesting. Somewhere around 75 billion checks were written on an annual basis.
Gosh.
And so now the last Fed study would show around 21 billion. And so when you think about that, there's still, a lot of checks left, but what's left is all businesses. It's B2B, B2C, and C2B. So businesses paying each other, businesses paying consumers, and consumers paying businesses. And when you look at the data, 80% of business payments, the businesses today rely on checks as the primary form of payment. And so when you think about that stat, $58 trillion across the globe in annual payments for SMBs, 42 trillion are going via paper. So when you think about those stats, when you ask me the question about the market, the market's just changing. It's just at the beginning. I mean, for business payments, we're just seeing a significant shift in the last year around people's attitudes and acceptance and desire to kind of get electronic. So, we have, north of 1% of U.S. businesses that use our product to actually pay all their customers and vendors, pay all their vendors and get paid by their customers. And it's over 3 million entities and $60 billion. But that's just 1%. Yeah. And when we look at our, next closest competitor on either the payment side or the receivable side, it tends to be much smaller for people that are handling money. There are plenty of companies that kind of help you with kind of invoicing or kind of managing your accounting, but they're not actually moving the money and helping you with the entire process to do that. So when we look at the market, we see it as being, rather large and kind of the fun part of kind of the uphill, that steep curve that comes. So
this is just the start.
That's the way it is. Yeah. So that's the way we feel, and the traction that we're seeing with customers, the adoption rates increasing. And I think part of it is our ability to be able to add, the mobile technology. People can use the app from wherever.
Of course, on the go. It's just so convenient.
Yeah, it's one of my first demos that I did was in 2007 for the product, and it was on stage, and I had a tool belt, think of a tool belt around my waist, and it had carabiners all the way around, and it had reams of paper with invoices attached, right? And so it had invoices and bills. Yeah, there are actually. There's one by my desk. So, and so here I was talking, and I was saying, look, if you were a business and you wanted to manage your business from anywhere, this is what it was like. Your filing cabinet on your hip. That's what you would have to be like, because nobody makes a decision to pay important documents or to get, interact with your customers without knowing the information. But now with your phone, it's just all here, right? I mean, with Bill.com and Siri, apparently, you got it all right here. And so, I think that's, something that I find exciting. The stuff that we're looking at and working on with respect to machine learning is exciting. So just a lot of stuff and technology that's going to enable businesses to not think about the back office and to get back to doing what they do best, which is their business. And nobody starts a business to actually pay bills or collect receivables other than me, right? There are a few others, I guess, but that's not the focus that any of our customers have. They got into business because they had a passion around the restaurant they started, the graphic, services they do, or construction, or whatever it is. That's, the accounting, it's all their passion. We need to help make it so they can go back to their passion and do what they do best.
Amazing. And our next question goes back to you. What books are you currently reading?
So, the nightstand has a lot of books on them, so I could actually list 30 books that I'm trying to read. But the book that I thought was interesting to kind of bring up here is it's an old book. It's one that I actually keep on my phone and my iPad, and I read it on a consistent basis. And it's the Tao Te Ching. So it's just verses. It's Buddhist philosophy, and I will use that as a way to kind of think about important stuff. I could be going into a really important sales meeting, and I will randomly pick a verse, and I will read that, and I will get inspiration around that. I might have a really difficult conversation with a customer or a vendor or an employee, and again, I will read that and kind of get inspiration. So that's kind of my go-to. Fun books. I read, was it The Red Shirts, which is, I'm a big Trekkie, and that was all about kind of a farce on Star Trek, which was a lot of fun.
So quite an eclectic taste going on here.
Yeah. I try. I don't read as much as I would like, but you got 2 kids, a dog, and a business to run. You're kind of busy.
Makes sense. Now, where do you see cross-border payments going, and how do you think the gig economy is going to impact this?
It's interesting. 30% of our customers have a cross-border payment experience in, probably in a given year, right? So we know that customers have, and then you think about businesses, that's kind of across all businesses. I mean, the world is getting smaller. It is easier and easier, especially with the gig economy. That's why that question is pretty interesting, for people to work from anywhere. And so if we happen to find an engineer or a graphic artist or a UX designer or a marketing specialist in another country, we can hire them and pay them. And that's really nice and easy. And obviously with tools, with video conferencing, it's a lot easier to kind of collaborate. So I think that cross-border payments will continue to increase as the world gets smaller, and the opportunity to interact with folks that identify with your mission and your passion and have the tools and skills to be able to help you succeed. That's just going to get easier and easier. So it's kind of fun to watch.
Nice. Now, you talked a bit about how when the company started that no one was doing this, and that gave you the inspiration to start Bill.com. Now, fast forward to today, how does Bill.com differentiate itself from its competitors? What's the big difference with Bill.com?
Yeah, I think, for us, I get asked this question by investors a fair bit. The first thing I would say is kind of the market, what I just talked about, the fact that we serve customers of all sizes with a target up to the 50 million kind of revenue, and that pretty much means the 5.9 million businesses that aren't 50 million revenue and up. So that's the first thing. Like, most businesses end up picking a much smaller market and try to focus on the verticals within that market, and we've gone with a broad-based strategy to support businesses of all sizes in the market that that we serve. So for payables and receivables. The next is, I would say, is we do both payables and receivables. There are companies that do invoicing. There are companies that do payables. Obviously, accounting software allows you to record and transact those transactions. But when you look at somebody who's looked at the process of what it is to have workflow around a payables process or a receivables process, and the ability to interact with customers and vendors and employees and accountants. We're unique. So we've kind of looked at the whole approach. And when you think about, the name of the company, the reason I got excited about Bill.com when it became available was the opportunity to kind of really think about, everybody's bill. One person's bill is another person's bill, but it's two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah.
So when I say, here's the bill, for me, it means you're going to pay me and I'm going to get something into my bank account. And that it means that you're going to pay something to me. And so that reciprocity, that two sides of the same coin that I referenced, we're the only ones doing that. But think about the network as a way to really help customers engage with their suppliers or their vendors in both directions. So,
that's a good way of thinking it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, what is the biggest obstacle for accounting firms when moving to the cloud?
I think the biggest challenge that any accounting firm has, or even when they get their clients on it, is just the inertia that they have with the existing process, right? So in general, people think it's a lot harder to do anything new, right? And it's just because of the experiences we had.
Yeah.
You get a new gadget for Christmas or Hanukkah, you're going to open it up and you're going to think it's going to take time. And usually it does. But our customers can get up and running and started in less than 15 minutes for most of them. And so it's not a lot of time, but people don't always take the time to kind of get started. And so that inertia and understanding, okay, I want to go from the filing cabinet, whether it's, just kind of the pile on my desk or the filing cabinet in the corner, I want to go from that to a digital payments platform that allows me to engage with all my documents and all the constituents I need to at any point in time. They think, oh my gosh, I got to move all that stuff. So actually, no, you just need to start today. Start taking pictures of the bill, throw it into the scanner, change an address for a few vendors.
It's super easy.
It's super easy. And so, but that's the biggest challenge is that. The other thing that accountants have for ones that are new coming into it is kind of shifting their mindset to be really thinking about being a strategic advisor to their customer. And so when you think about client accounting services, it's not that you're doing bookkeeping to be able to do the mundane part of bookkeeping. You're doing bookkeeping, whether it's payables or receivables or both. You're doing those things because you want to be able to offer strategic advice to your clients and really putting yourself in a different position to be able to be that advisor long term that helps the business get back to doing what they do best, which was not accounting, right? And so that focus of changing your positioning, how you sell, position yourself, and your pricing, that can sometimes be hard for accounts. But inertia is probably involved there too. So inertia is always the biggest barrier for anybody doing something.
For sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Hence my comment earlier about persistence. You got to be persistent.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
Now we're going to throw it back to you again about you as the founder of Bill.com. And this was one of my favorite questions as well. Do you have a pet?
We do have a pet. So we just got a pet. We have a dog, a Australian Labrador, and her name is Mochi.
We can post pictures on our social channels. She's very cute.
Yeah, she is. She's adorable. So we got her she was born in March. We got her in April, and two boys, 15 and 13. So it's just been fun to kind of watch the unconditional love that any one being can give to numerous other people. It's a good life lesson every day to just be that loving.
And you're through that puppy phase now.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she has some of it, right? But the cuddles are there, and I think Bennett, my youngest, trained her to shake and to sit, and I've trained her to kiss. So I get licks on my face whenever I say kiss, so I like that.
Oh, that sounds adorable. Yeah, we'll be sure to post some pictures of her on social because she is absolutely adorable. I saw pictures earlier. Now, the next question is, how do financial planners network with CEOs to put together strategies to protect their income, plan for college savings, and plan for retirement?
I think it's an interesting, it's not just for CEOs, it's for all people, right? We all have those expenses and all have plenty of, concern and anxiety, if you will, around retirement, be able to make ends meet when those days come, right? And so I think, the important thing that the engagement that I've had from financial planners is really understanding what your goals are. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of that's actually one of the things I will push back on any of the folks that I work with. It's just really being clear, like, yes, I know there are all sorts of tax strategies for this or that, or there's opportunities to, do you fund the college today or do you fund it later, right? And there are pros and cons, but what's the goal? Like, help me understand why I should do something. And so that would be my, feedback to them. And that's the good ones do that. They come in and they ask you, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish with wealth in your life? What do you want to do with that? And, when do you want to retire? Like, just being very clear on that and trying not to go chase the shiny penny or whatever it is. That's, don't go invest in Bitcoin because you think it's going to be a huge hit, right? So,
people guilty of that.
Yeah, and for me, I tend to, and for those out there that are running their own companies, you put so much of your passion into the business. Like, one of the things you will get is, well, you should, diversify, and yet, where would I put my money? I love this company, and there's so much opportunity. Yeah. So that's just going back to the goals, right? Like, so that's what I would say to that is the good ones actually focus on what you want to do and what makes you happy, and then you address and come up with a plan from there.
Now, you sound like you were an entrepreneur from day one. You've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. You talk about your parents and your grandparents, and it sounds like it runs in the family. PayCycle, today at Bill.com. But what's next for you? Is there going to be another innovation on the horizon?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is there's so much opportunity at Bill.com, and there's so many other things that we know that we can put into the experience for our customers. It's hard for me to think about what's next other than what's next at Bill.com. There's no limit to the potential that I see that we can continue to serve and make customers' lives better. So that focus is there. I would say, if I were to ever do anything other than Bill.com, it probably would be something different than payments. I love music, and I feel like as much as the streaming services are good, I still feel like I don't get to listen to. I still feel like a DJ gets me better music than just listening to some other playlist, right? And so, there are certain stations. So, anyways, I would think about that. And, it probably
that sounds completely different.
It's completely different. So. But.
And you talked about your focus on Bill.com. Like, what is next for Bill.com? What's the future looking like?
Yeah, I think we're really thinking hard about how to leverage the machine learning to really continue to simplify everybody's financial lives when it comes to managing your business, right? And so we think about the user experience and intuiting, right? Just figuring out what it is the customers are going to need to do next. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity and possibility to kind of make lives even simpler. And so when we think about our mission to make it simple to connect and do business, those are all the things that we're focused on. Like, how do we continue to do that, whether it's a new user experience, whether it's new features, the cross-border payments that we rolled out in September, that definitely makes lives easier for businesses. They don't have to go someplace else to make the payments for the international vendors that they have. There'll be other services like that we continue to think about that will make it easier for businesses to, connect with the business.
Mm-hmm. And going back to your entrepreneurial journey, you started PayCycle, then Bill.com. What lessons learned did you take from PayCycle to Bill.com?
I think there's a lot of lessons learned. The biggest one from PayCycle to here probably would have been, the buck stops with me, right? And so when you think about when I started PayCycle, I started with a good friend, a co-founder. And so we had two people where the buck stopped. And I think I realized that made it sometimes hard to make decisions, sometimes hard to kind of push a certain strategy or direction. And so I think, one of the things I've learned from that experience was I have to be in front of everybody, whether it's an investor or an employee or a customer or a vendor. They're all looking ultimately to me to kind of lead the position. So when I think about that, like, sometimes people will describe it's lonely at the top, and I will describe it as more like it's lonely in the middle. It's an hourglass, right? I've got a stack of investors on top and customers where I think they're kind of putting the pressure in from the outside. And then underneath, I got, a bunch of employees and supplier vendor relationships that need input. And so you're kind of in the middle trying to make sure you're balancing and addressing all those concerns. And so owning that responsibility, being accountable for those actions that come from that responsibility, and not just saying, well, somebody else will take care of it. At PayCycle, I probably didn't own it as much as I try to do today.
Mm-hmm. And we're coming towards the end of 2018. The year is almost at an end, and this is a time for reflection. If you had to pick just one highlight from the past year, what would it be?
I'm always thinking about gratitude. So, I'm just grateful every day for the experiences that I get to have, and, getting to work with the employees. We've grown tremendously at Bill.com. We've probably, added 150 to 200 employees in the last year. So just, and I don't get to know them as well as I'd like, but the ones I get to know, it's just nice to kind of expand the experience and really contribute to each other and grow. So that's something I'm grateful for. I think what we've seen in the market and the interest that we've seen from partners, from investors, from customers is accelerating. And so I'm grateful for that. I've been doing this business for 12 years, and I know this is the best way to manage your back office. And so seeing that others are starting to kind of, or not others because we've always had customers, but seeing that rate of others coming to the fold accelerate,
more people.
That's exciting. It feels like a great time in the business. Very grateful for Mochi. It's been wonderful to have a dog in the house. So I could go on and on about the gratitudes. So.
Absolutely. René, it's been amazing getting to know you even more, the man behind Bill.com. Is there anything you would like to say to those who tuned in today?
Well, first, thanks for being interested. But I think more importantly, just when you think about the gratitudes that you have, just make sure you tell the people that you're grateful for them. I'm sure everybody already has that. It's kind of cliche, but there's nothing. Maybe here's a story, small story that comes to mind. So in 2008, my dad passed away. He had lung cancer, and it was hard. The last 6 months were hard, but I was going home all the time, every 3 weeks or something like that. And something changed for Dad in that 6 month period, right? And so one of the things that changed is his gratitude and his love was shown first instead of last, right? So I would walk in the door and he couldn't even see me, and he'd say, "René, I love you." Right? Sorry, emotional mouth, but that type of gratitude, that's what matters. So happy holidays, and tell your friends and your family and your dog that you love them.
René, thank you so much for sharing that story with everyone. I think everyone will be really touched by the sentiment as well of you sharing that story. Thank you so much for today.
Okay.